Hello everybody, Anomaly 505 here. Today I'll be showing you how to use cloth simulations in characters. Yeah, I'll be showing you how to make a cape uh, be pinned onto a character and be deformed as they move. Anyway, pretty self-explanatory. I'll also show you how to utilize collision meshes and where to utilize them. So, yeah. Okay, so we're here in Blender. I have the cape modeled, and yep, fairly simple model. I just have it a plane that I stretched and extruded to wrap around the shoulders. Now I will apply I'll add a cloth simulation to it. Now that I have that, I'll add I already have it on here. I have a collision. Just show you. Go to your physics tab. Collision, enable that, and same for the pants. So, I already had it on. Adding a cloth simulation. If I push play, you'll see something happen here. It falls off him, which is because it is not pinned to them in any way. I want the cloth simulation to go before the solidify. And I want to pin all of these vertices here onto the mesh. So to do that, I'll go to data. I'll add a group here. Name it pin and assign to the pin group. I'll now go back over to physics. In physics, I'll go to shape, pin group, select the pin group I made, and now push play. You'll see that it's now pinned in place, but it's not attached to the character. That's because it's not way painted to the character. To fix that, I'll select the cape, shift select the armature, control P to parent with empty groups. I know for sure that this pauldron here is completely 100% way painted to the upper arm. So if I go here, only selecting the parts that I have way painted to be pinned, I'll go over to data and search upper arm, and since it's mirrored and I'm using the left side as the I guess the main one because it's mirrored, the left side is the only one that really exists. Anyway, I'll pin it to upper arm.l, assign, and now pushing play. Pushing play, you should see. There you go. But you can see this weird jumping here. That's because I need to go to the modifier stack and move armature before the cloth simulation. And that should fix it. There you go. Check that out. Now time to make this look nice. Going over to viewport shading. I already have material made for this, so let me just assign red cloth. Nice. Maybe a little more thickness would be nice. Let me just remove that one. Solidify. Like that. Add modifier. Another solidify modifier. This one will be for the outline. Offset of 1. Normals flip. Material offset 1. Having the cape selected. Push A to push A. Go here. Push plus to add another material and select outline. There we go. And now I can change the thickness of that. Nice. Now we have a cape. And if you're not happy with how it deforms, like I personally prefer a different form of deformation in my cloth simulation. This one is using Angular currently for its bending model. I prefer linear. Also, while you're here, go to collisions and enable self collisions. There we go. How nice that looks. And if you want to add a little bit more of dynamics to your scenes with simulations, you can go to Shift A, force field, and add in some wind. So put that here. Okay, let's see. Maybe a bit strong. There we go. check that out. I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so the reason that this simulation was so easy and simple is because it's a low poly character. The less vertices that have to be calculated and the less faces that have to be calculated for collision, the more lightweight the simulation will be on your system. And since both the collision mesh and the simulated mesh are so low detail, it's not a lot of strain on the system. If you were to have a subdivision surface modifier, like in the modifier stack here, before the claw simulation, it would increase the amount of vertices and faces being simulated, making it more intensive on your system. And the character itself, since it's so low poly, it can be its own collision mesh. But a higher poly character, you would need a collision mesh separate from the actual visible mesh to save on processing, I guess, to save on resources, and to more fine-tune the collision of your character. And I'll show you an example of that right now. Okay, here you can see another one of my characters, Lila Muertum. Here you go. She is a higher poly character, if that wasn't obvious enough. I've already set up a collision mesh and claw simulation on her, so I can show you what I mean. So if we push play here, you can see that the cape's colliding with her. Yep, that is what's supposed to happen. So what I was talking about collision meshes is if we go here and just this mesh has a subdivision surface modifier on it. So let's go to wire view mode. Look at all the density in the vertices and the faces. All the detail, that'd be a lot to calculate for the collision. So what I've done here is, if you see this bounding box here, that is a collision mesh that I've set to bounds under viewport display. If we go to edit mode here, you'll see it is a duplication of her base mesh that I have modified. You can see here, there we go. You can see here, there's an odd shape here, and that's because, hold on, let me just adjust it a bit more. I didn't realize. There we go. That is because if you look at her clothing, she has this tunic that extends down, and if I didn't add that protrusion in the collision mesh, the cape would clip through the tunic. This is a tunic or a jerkin? I think it's a jerkin. It's leather, I don't know. But you can see how I have essentially just duplicated her base body mesh, and then just taken out a majority of the detail, so it's now low poly while it remains white painted to the armature, so it deforms the same way as a high poly mesh. You can see here her sleeves are puffy, but the collision mesh isn't. So what I do here is go to the collision mesh, select a loop roughly around where the puffiness of the sleeve is, and scale it up. So now that the collision mesh more accurately mirrors what the actual mesh is. So yeah, and if you don't use a collision mesh, it will be much more intensive on your device. I'll show you one more example of how I use class simulations in my characters. Here's another one of my characters, Mina Scalari. Fun fact about her name, it is a play on words. Mina, small, scalare, scales, fish, also minor scale, Mina Scalare, minor scale, music. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, if I go back to the beginning here, you can see that her hair is simulated. And I use a cloud simulation here because that's what you'd use for hair simulations, and also because her hair is made of fins, so it's more of like sheets of fabric. So you can see every single bit of her hair is simulated. The bangs here, the whatever you call the side things, and the back of her hair here. Another use of simulations in the scene is the sails over here. Pretty neat. And for Mina, I have a collision mesh, even though she's low poly. And this is where you'd want to use a collision mesh, even if it would have no impact on your performance. You can see here, Mina's eyebrows are also fins, and they poke out. And without the collision mesh, her hair would be constantly clipping through her eyebrows, and it just didn't look right. So what I did is... Where is it? Hair collision. Here we go. I modeled this from scratch. So it's like a helmet that it extends the collision of her face. Yeah, basically that's it. And also, even though the face itself is already simple, the collision mesh is even more simple. So it's added benefit of better performance, which is always great because my computer is not very good. And yeah, that should be all for today's video. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you want to see more from me, subscribing would be nice. I have a couple tutorials planned, one of them being a tutorial on how to use spring bones to add some more secondary movement to your animations. I also made a Discord server, so if any of you would like to join it, feel free to. The Discord server is a place where you can directly ask for help regarding topics of videos or just in general, whatever troubles you in your Blender projects. We have a place where you can ask for critiques regarding your Blender projects and just get some constructive criticism. We also have a art showcase where you can show off your 2D and 3D art. I feel I should have reversed that. 3D and 2D art. Whatever projects you're working on in Blender, and just general creativity, as long as it's not inappropriate. Also, I do polls there sometimes regarding what my new video should be. Speaking of which, if you have any ideas for any new videos I should make, please leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to hear them. Sorry for the long outro. Thank you all for your time, and goodbye.